Hey, it's Justin Morrison here once again, and today I'm reviewing the Kaiser Baas X600 waterproof action camera on behalf of BestBuy.ca. My first impressions on taking it out of the box were that this is a really sturdy looking, nicely designed little action camera. I was very excited to take it for a swim. So one of the first things I did was jump off a dock into the water just for a bit of fun. And everything worked out well. I liked the footage. I'm going to show you that a little bit later. But I was happy with the footage. I was happy that I was able to hold on to the camera as I jumped off and entered the water. But unfortunately, something I realized afterwards was that a little bit of corrosion occurred under one of the covers, which will be hard to show you on video, but you will find a photo of that in the blog piece. And this was really unfortunate. I know that working in salt water can be a really challenging thing for any type of, electronics or mechanical devices, because salt water is super corrosive. So a lot of the time when you use something in salt water in the sea, you rinse it off afterwards, but it just didn't occur to me at the time, and there was no instruction warning me about that. In fact, there isn't really no manual at all for the X600. So I didn't know that I should rinse it off, and I learned that the hard way. So this is definitely a good action cam for freshwater situations, or for skiing, for example. You don't have to worry about getting it wet if you're out skiing, or dropping it in the snow, or if you're on a lake, no problem. But in salt water, you're definitely going to need to rinse this off. Anyway, getting back to some of the features, it shoots 4K at 30 frames a second. It shoots full HD at 60 frames a second, and it shoots HD 720p at 120 frames per second. So not spectacular in terms of video performance. I'd like to see full HD at 120 frames per second, but 60 is pretty good too. It does shoot photos up to a resolution of, I think, 14 megapixels, which is fine, just for a bit of fun. Like if you're out après ski, for example, hanging out with your buddies and you want to get a selfie with the group, this is actually a cool tool because it has such a wide angle view. So that's a really good use for it. I did find that the shutter button there was a little bit, it's not set up for photos, so I just found it a little bit hard to depress, but not a big deal. Now, one of the things I do want to point out, one of the major pluses, one of the things I loved about the X600 the minute I saw it, and I hope I can show you that, is the menu system. The menu system on the X600 is really, really good. Really easy to use. I've used a lot of cameras in my time, and I've used some with some really questionable menu systems. But this one is just, it's a touch screen. You just go up and down, easy peasy. Everything is just really well laid out, really intuitive. There was, however, one feature called LDC, which is down here at the bottom, which you can turn on and off, and I don't know what it is. And because there's so little information online about the X600, I wasn't able to figure out what LDC is, so I still don't know what that is. But in here you can control your exposure, your white balance, your metering mode, your video encoding type, the microphone, gyro stabilization. So this has stabilization, which is a really cool feature. I'm always happy to see cameras with inbuilt stabilization, because it just makes your video that bit smoother. If you're a downhill cyclist, a mountain biker, you're gonna really appreciate having gyro stabilization. What else did I find in here? It's got Wi-Fi built in, so you can connect to the Kaiser Baas app, which I thought was really cool and handy. There's also date stamp in here, and my first recommendation to anyone using this camera is to turn date stamp off. I don't want to see in the corner of my screen, the time and date. I guess some people do, but personally, the aesthetic of that just doesn't work. I want to see a nice clean image, and I don't want to see that in the bottom. Now, at one point, before I turned it off, it turned on by default. The date stamp was there in the bottom corner, and fortunately I was able to crop it out because I had shot at a slightly higher resolution than full HD. So it does have some in between 4K and full HD resolutions too, which is quite handy. Just gives you a little bit more pixel room to work with, and if you want to crop stuff out. So that was pretty handy. But yeah, I would just turn the date stamp off as soon as I got this. One of the other little things I liked about the X600, and I think Kaiser Baas did a really good job with this, the file naming system is really intuitive. So if you're shooting a time lapse, for example, which you can do with the X600, it names the file LPSE, 0006 or whatever it is. So you can see right there on the file what kind of file it is. That's a really cool thing. And again, I've seen, big name manufacturers who've done actually a really poor job with their file naming system. And, kudos to Kaiser Baas for coming up with a good one. Now, the X600 has two USB ports here, a USB-C and I think it's a micro B right here. And as you can see, the cover here is no longer on the camera. Unfortunately, I think I kind of broke it. I found it, as I said, very hard after a certain point to get the cover open, and I ended up sort of pulling it off. I could probably get it back in if I wanted to. It's not broken, but it's just there's something not working with the way it's supposed to open. So a little bit disappointed about that. It could again be a result of my saltwater adventures. But all in all, I have to say, for the price point, this is a good action cam. It comes with a lot of accessories, a lot of mounts that you can use to put it on your bike, on your helmet, stick it to the front of a kayak or a paddleboard maybe. So really like that. And it has a little carry case. The carry case is not brilliant. It's kind of, it's a bigger carry case, so you can put some of the accessories in, but the camera itself would just fall around loosely within the case. So not a brilliant case, but I'm not going to get hung up on that. So I think if you're a camera enthusiast or someone who just wants to have a little bit of fun, capture some fun memories when you're out, doing your adventures, whatever that may be, I think this is a good camera. I would say take care of it, as I say, like rinse it off if you've dropped it in or put it in salt water. But other than that, I think this is a camera that is perfectly capable of producing some really great images and performing well in some rugged situations. So let's take a look at some of the footage I was able to get with the Kaiser Baas X600. This is Justin Morrison reviewing the Kaiser Baas X600 on behalf of BestBuy.ca. It's November 26, 2020, and I'm about to jump into some very cold water. The things I do for Best Buy. On behalf of the Best Buy blog, this is Justin Morrison. Until next time, peace out.